Another grim and startling milestone in Hong Kong's latest COVID-19 outbreak, as the territory exceeded 2,000 daily cases for the first time on Monday. On the same day, over 4,000 preliminary positives were also logged. Like the Chinese mainland, Hong Kong remains committed to maintaining a state of zero COVID, or what it now calls dynamic zero COVID.
我喺會上衷心感謝中央對香港嘅支持同埋關心，並且表示特區政府必定會堅持理念，以市民嘅生命同埋公共衛生安全為首位，以動態清零為目標。呢一個策略係最符合香港嘅利益同埋實際情況嘅。
But cracks in this strategy are only widening. Hospital isolation wards have hit capacity, and paramedics say they are stretched to their limits responding to new cases, some 80% of which are asymptomatic or preliminary positives. Public health experts say that the government's dynamic zero COVID response needs to become much more dynamic.
As part of the zero COVID strategy that we have been implementing for the last 2 years, there has been universal isolation of all cases of COVID in either a hospital or some sort of isolation facility. Part of the fact that we are now in a world in which there is too many cases relative to our capacity, we have to explore other models of isolation. As of right now, we have a backlog in terms of the number of cases that are still trying to be admitted. And the reality is we will never be able to admit them. And we haven't seen the peak of this outbreak.
Mainland authorities have pledged to send more personnel and testing kits to Hong Kong and to help erect emergency field hospitals. But with thousands of new cases appearing every day, a more immediate solution is needed.
We really need to be able to find ways to ensure that only the most critical cases are ending up in the hospital at this stage and not trying to admit asymptomatic and mild cases into the hospital anymore. Regardless of whether you're still striving for zero COVID or you're just trying to manage and mitigate the impact of this outbreak, home isolation is a really critical component to that. We do need to find a way to provide information so that people can recover safely at home.
Hong Kong stands at a COVID crossroads, doubling down on zero COVID or transitioning to a longer-term solution. The city has had ample time to prepare, but when the idea of living with COVID has been condemned by Beijing as Western influence, Hong Kong's decision could come down to politics versus public health. Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.